Gao Miaomiao, who was an orphan in her previous life, woke up and changed many systems after wearing them in the 1970s. She, who has never tasted the taste of family, is determined to take good care of her family, love her cubs, and strive to become rich. Lack of money and food, everything is lacking. Not afraid, just a few broken bowls and tiles can exchange for a pile of grain. The origin of public rice and grain is unknown. Don't panic, don't panic. Let's learn more about raising pigs and chickens for monetization. What? Are scumbags interested in her? It depends on whether her nominal partner agrees or not. Feng's eyes were cold and he advised the other person to retreat. She is the mother of our 2 children. Gao Miaomiao is speechless. She has never been in love before, so she likes to be a mother. Feng's eyes darkened slightly as he reached out and pulled her into his arms. His voice was low. Now, is that okay? Gao Miaomiao wanted to refuse, but there was always a bug in the system, and she had to be close to him in order to drop something. She had to silently accept it. I'm also known as the matchmaker system, said the system owner with a proud and coquettish expression. Chapter 1. Ti Er Zai. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. I've already told you that marrying such a woman and coming back sooner or later is a disaster. Last time it was hanging, this time it was jumping from the river. Next time, will you directly set fire to our house? A noisy voice came from her ear, and Gao Miaomiao opened her eyes in discomfort. Everything in front of her made her instantly stiff. Where is this? Why do you see a thatched roof when you look up? Even the tables and chairs next to them are extremely old, and Gao Miaomiao is worried whether this kind of thing can still be used. And she lay on the earthen Kong, covered in a large red flower quilt, which she had only seen on TV. Gao Miaomiao, are you awake? A deep voice came, and Gao Miaomiao looked over and saw a handsome man sitting next to her. Very handsome, with slender and sharp eyebrows and eyes, and a strong smell emanating from all over the body. Gao Miaomiao took a deep breath of air conditioning. Who is this man? What exactly happened? You. She was about to speak when she was interrupted by an angry voice next to her. Gao Miaomiao, if you continue to search for life and death, our Cheng family cannot afford you. Tomorrow morning, we will go to the town to obtain a divorce certificate. The woman next to her was wearing dusty clothes, clutching her waist with both hands, her face turning red with anger. She stared at Gao Miaomiao and asked her to divorce tomorrow. Divorce? What kind of divorce? She has been single since birth for 25 years, not to mention getting married. She has never even been in love. Why is it so fast forward that it's about to divorce? Gao Miaomiao instinctively asked, but after finishing this sentence, her head began to ache deeply. Many memories flooded into her mind that did not belong to her. She actually traveled back to the 1970s. The original owner, also known as Gao Miaomiao, was the youngest daughter of the Gao family in Rongshu village and the village flower. During a work trip, she was harassed by the village thugs. Although nothing happened, her reputation was tarnished. The parents of the Gao family were afraid that she would not be able to sell for a good price because of this. When they learned that the eldest son of the Cheng family, Feng, wanted to get married, they disregarded his limp in the army and demanded a dowry of 30 yuan to bring him over. But the original owner despised Feng as a cripple and kept making a fuss when he came over, either hanging or jumping into the river. He was determined to get a divorce, making the Cheng family a laughingstock for the entire village. Yesterday, she didn't catch a glimpse and jumped into the big river at the village head. It was still Feng who jumped down and rescued her. Gao Miaomiao has mixed feelings in her heart. She grew up in an orphanage without a father or mother in modern times, and her biggest dream was to have a family. Now that I have traveled through time, I have my family, but it is a strange thing for my family. The only benefit is that she has become younger and turned 20. Gao Miaomiao accepted all the memories and gained a general understanding of the current scene. She secretly glanced at the man sitting in front of her, cleared her throat, and said, "Cheng Feng and I will not divorce." As soon as these words were spoken, Grandma Lu Guiying widened her eyes and said, "What are you saying?" Gao Miaomiao spoke seriously, "I won't be looking for life or death in the future. Not seeking death or survival anymore. Have you changed your gender?" Lu Guiying didn't believe it for 10,000 times, but at this moment, there was no place to react. She looked at Cheng Feng with anger and said, "Your own daughter. In.Law, take care of it yourself." Cheng Feng stared at Gao Miaomiao. His gaze was sharp and steady, as if he could see through the heart. Gao Miaomiao was afraid that he would see something, so she didn't meet his gaze. "Let's wait for her to recover," Cheng Feng said lightly. "The implied meaning is not to divorce for now." Gao Miaomiao breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. A half-year-old child lifted the curtain and walked in, holding a bowl with 2 eggs inside. The child spoke timidly, "Grandma, the eggs are cooked." Lu Guiying glanced at her and casually took the bowl and stuffed it into Gao Miaomiao's hand. "Hurry up and eat it. I've already agreed, this egg is not for you to eat for free. Take care of yourself and quickly get the old lady to work on the ground." If it were someone else, they would probably think that Lu Guiying was ferocious. Gao Miaomiao knew that in this era of scarce resources, Lu Guiying was willing to take out 2 eggs for her to eat, which was already very kind. She held the bowl, her eyes slightly turning red, and in front of everyone's gaze, she ate an egg, which made her feel better. "Han Han, take this egg and share it with Nienyo." Watching the 2 children looking somewhat greedy but hesitant to speak, Gao Miaomiao handed the bowl to the child. But the 2 children hesitated and dared not come over. The tall seedlings paused. The original owner was dissatisfied with Cheng Feng and was not good to the 2 children. He often said that the 2 children were just dragging oil, causing both children to have psychological shadows. "Let's eat." Gao Miaomiao sent the bowl forward again. Cheng Feng took the bowl and handed it to the 2 children. "Let's eat it." The 2 children were pleasantly surprised and held bowls, sharing an egg. Lu Guiying was surprised, and her gaze was somewhat different. Why did she suddenly treat the child so well? "Is it true that you really want to live a good life?" She had an attitude, and Lu Guiying's expression softened a bit. "It's getting late. There are so many mouths at home to eat, so I'll go to work first." Cheng Feng also got up and glanced at Gao Miaomiao before walking out. Gao Miaomiao knew that he would first set up traps on the mountain, which could occasionally hunt wild animals and offer a tooth offering to the 2 children. After the decoration, he also has to go to the village to work. In this era, without getting a job, there is no food to eat. There were only Gao Miaomiao and 2 children left at home, who sat far away and didn't even come to Gao Miaomiao's side. Gao Miaomiao let out a sigh. This is all the fault of the original owner. She has crossed over and must improve the already broken relationship. Gao Miaomiao propped herself up from the bed and walked to the kitchen based on her memory. It's just a small room built with green bricks, and it's good for rain and no water leakage. There was still half a bowl of wild vegetables left in the pot in the morning, and Gao Miaomiao didn't have much appetite. He searched around and only found half a bag of powdered miscellaneous grains, which seemed difficult to swallow. No wonder the 2 children were surprised when they shared an egg just now. She looked at the wild vegetables at hand at a loss, feeling that the biggest obstacle to surviving in this era was probably eating. Exchange multiple systems for hosting services. Just as she sighed, a mechanical sound suddenly came to her mind. Gao Miaomiao was startled and quickly realized that she had traveled with her system. What does this system do? The system provides barter, where items from this era can be exchanged for modern equivalent items. The heavier the sense of the era, the more valuable the exchanged items will be. Can you actually exchange something for something? Amidst her surprise, Gao Miaomiao caught a glimpse of a broken bowl with a missing mouth next to her and asked, "Can this bowl be exchanged for something?" Detected the vintage value of the porcelain bowl at 200 yuan, which can be exchanged for items of the same value. Can such a broken bowl be worth so much money? Chapter 2. Breaking Bad for White Noodle, Making Money. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Gao Miaomiao was overjoyed and said, "Change to a bag of white noodles." As soon as she finished speaking, a bag of white flour actually appeared in front of her, and it looked perfectly in line with the surrounding environment. Just use this bag of noodles to make some food for the children and ease the relationship. Gao Miaomiao picked up the white noodles and began rolling them out. You know, she's an orphan, and she's very skilled at cooking. The noodles were cut and thrown into the pot, and a few wild vegetables were added to the tall seedlings. The only bit of seasoning was added, and the fragrance immediately came out. Two children were eagerly watching at the kitchen door when Gao Miaomiao called them in. The noodles were already cooked, and Gao Miaomiao neatly handed 2 small bowls of noodles to the 2 people. "Eat it, don't burn it." The 2 children exchanged a glance, although hesitant, still unable to resist the temptation of noodles. They took the bowl and ate it quickly. After finishing the meal, he still washed the dishes wisely. Han Han stood beside her and looked at Gao Miaomiao for a while. Gao Miaomiao thought she was going to say something and squatted in front of her, waiting for her to speak. The little girl hesitated for a long time and ran out with a twisted expression. Gao Miaomiao smiled. Is this considered the first step taken? The 2 children were playing in the yard and soon sweated profusely. Gao Miaomiao was a bit uncomfortable when cooking just now. She scooped a basin of water from the water tank in the yard and brought it back to the room to scrub her body. I finally feel a little more comfortable after washing. She is preparing to change clothes. Open the cabinet, and the clothes inside are neatly stacked. One stack is hers, and the other stack is Feng's. This scene seems inexplicably ambiguous. She paused and took out a pair of indigo blue pants and a gray shirt, ready to put them on. The door was pushed open from outside. Feng stepped in with one leg, but before he could step on the ground, he froze in place. Gao Miaomiao didn't expect this either. She suddenly covered herself and glared at Feng. "Get out." Feng's ear tips quickly turned red. He immediately turned around and closed the door. "I didn't know you were changing clothes." A low and somewhat hoarse voice came in from outside. Gao Miaomiao tightly closed her eyes. She quickly put on her clothes, looked carefully, and there was nothing wrong before she pretended to be indifferent and raised her voice, "Come in." Feng pushed the door, but no one came in and stood at the door. "The children said you made noodles, but we don't have noodles at home." "Where did you get the noodles from?" Feng spoke up. He didn't look at Gao Miaomiao, his eyes fixed on the door frame. Gao Miaomiao was taken aback for a moment. At that time, she was only focused on filling her stomach and had never thought of this. When asked by Feng now, she felt a little guilty and said, "When I got married, my grandmother secretly gave me a small bag of noodles." How could she forget that in this era, people used to eat big pot rice, which was uniformly prepared by the village, and the food distributed was also recorded in the village's account. It seems that in the future, when exchanging things with the system, we need to find a reasonable source. Feng's gaze finally shifted, as he watched Gao Miaomiao stand there with a lively expression. The image he had just seen flashed through his mind inappropriately. The words he had originally intended to say were swallowed by him. She may have really changed her personality and wanted to live a good life now. Otherwise, how could it be possible to give the 2 children white noodles to eat? He nodded and said, "Last time you jumped into the river." Before she could finish speaking, Gao Miaomiao extended 3 fingers and spoke firmly, "I promise, I will never do such a thing again." She looked at him seriously, and Feng's Adam's apple moved as he turned his head and said, "I'm going to work. As long as you're willing to live a good life, I won't let you go hungry." Before Gao Miaomiao could say another word, he left. Why run so fast? I don't know how to eat people. Gao Miaomiao let out a sigh. But now it's not a matter of getting entangled in this, the first thing to solve is the livelihood of the family. She called out to the system, how old is this broken stool? The system beeps. A bench without legs, with a sense of age of 10 points and a value of 100 yuan. Gao Miaomiao became interested and walked over to pick up a plate, saying, what about this? Some old plates, with a sense of age of 12 points, worth 120 yuan. Gao Miaomiao kept trying the value of things in the house, and the system kept quoting. All the way, these things were worth thousands of yuan. You can exchange a lot of food now. But the things that need to be changed cannot come out inexplicably, we must find some source. Thinking of this, Gao Miaomiao picked up the basket in the yard and instructed her 2 children not to run around, walking straight towards the village chief's house. In this era, compared to modern times, the mountains in the village are all public assets, but after reporting, everyone can also go up to the mountains to dig some wild vegetables. The village chief frowned at her and said, are you going up the mountain again? Gao Miaomiao knew that the people in the village had some prejudice against her and nodded, I want to go up the mountain and dig some wild vegetables. The village chief, however, took a puff of his dry cigarette and said, it's not that I won't let you go. You just made a scene of jumping into the river. If there were any fatalities, I wouldn't be able to afford it. She felt a little embarrassed after hearing this, so she had to grit her head and say, I promise I won't make foolish jumps in the river again in the future. Gao Miaomiao's words were resolute, and the village chief could only sigh, since you promised, the village will give you another chance. With approval, Gao Miaomiao walked towards the mountain. In the early morning, it was time for work, and the villagers walked together in groups of 3 or 5. Look, the wife of the Cheng family has come out, I'm afraid she's going to search for life and death again. There's no daughter.in.law who doesn't work every day and doesn't care about her children. Isn't this coming back from marrying an ancestor? Gao Miaomiao heard several women pointing at her and turned her head to look at those people. They are all moms with broken mouths. They burst into laughter when they saw that Gao Miaomiao dared to turn around. Cheng's wife, where are you going now? Are you going to jump into the river again? Someone asked Gao Miaomiao. Gao Miaomiao laughed. These aunties are really interesting. They can't even manage their own affairs and have to worry about other people's affairs. Of course not, this is not because the children at home are obedient and my mother.in.law doesn't let me go down to the ground. I'm thinking of digging some wild vegetables to make some paste for the children and also to relieve some pressure on Feng. Gao Miaomiao spoke calmly. The aunt who asked her questions stood still. What did you say? Yesterday, Gao Miaomiao, who was determined to leave the Cheng family, said that the Cheng family's child was obedient, that her mother.in.law loved her, and that she wanted to relieve Feng's stress. Is this the ghost? Auntie, I see you're young and your ears are not good. I said I need to find something to do, otherwise staying at home all day will make you gain weight. Although my mother.in.law and Feng both love me, I can't be proud of them just because of their affection. I still have to feel sorry for them. Gao Miaomiao walked slowly in front of the crowd, with a sharp gaze scanning around. Aunties, hurry up and get down to the ground, otherwise we won't be able to finish today's work. If we go back, we'll have to be scolded by our mother.in.law. After all, there are not many people like me who can meet such good mother.in.law and men. She smiled and turned around to leave. The aunt, who had been scolded by her, blushed and became extremely angry. What nonsense did the dead hoof say? She shouldn't have hit a ghost, right? Who knew? Today is so sharp and sharp. I see, I'm afraid my brain might be damaged by water bubbles. But Lu Guiying is really good to Gao Miaomiao. She won't let anyone go down to the ground and gave her eggs to eat. When I passed by their doorstep this morning, I heard Gao Miaomiao say that she couldn't finish the eggs and wanted to give them to her child. Everyone is discussing the sudden transformation of Gao Miaomiao's personality, and some people envy Gao Miaomiao's virtue of meeting such a good mother.In.Law as Lu Guiying. There are not many people in the entire village who don't go to the ground, most of whom are in poor health or have children. Gao Miaomiao is the only one who is healthy and enjoys staying at home. I don't know what kind of bad luck I've had. Everyone gradually moved away and went to work. And Gao Miaomiao also quickened his pace and left here. The mountain was overgrown with weeds, and almost all the wild vegetables had been dug up. The tall seedlings were afraid of being discovered, so they continued walking towards the mountain for a while. Surrounded by wild grass and trees, nothing useful was found. She took out the bowl she brought from home and replaced it with a chicken, ready to go down the mountain. The sound of the system suddenly rang out. Detected items with high age values nearby, it is recommended that the host carefully search for them in the surrounding area. Chapter 3. Don't touch you if you don't want to. You are listening at novel full.audio. Gao Miaomiao stopped her movements and listened to the system's instructions. She wandered around the surrounding forest and indeed saw a pile of debris covered with leaves. She used a sickle to pull apart the leaves and saw a pile of broken tables, broken benches, and many broken dishes, like garbage thrown out of the village. Gao Miaomiao's eyes lit up and she said, "Can these things be exchanged for something? The plate is worth 80 yuan, the broken table is worth 60 yuan, and the plastic bottle is worth 10 yuan. With such a quote, it's more valuable than the bowl on her body." After thinking for a moment, Gao Miaomiao picked a few valuable items from the tattered items and put them in her backpack, ready to take them back for exchange. Cover other things with leaves again, and come back to pick them up next time you need them. Gao Miaomiao picked up the already choked chicken and descended the mountain. As she wandered around, it was already getting late. Some people came off work one after another, and someone noticed that Gao Miaomiao was holding a chicken in her hand, and her eyes changed. Several elderly men and women gathered around, their eyes drooling as they said, "How lucky I am to be able to catch a chicken after going up the mountain." Another person clicked and said, "The mountain belongs to the public family. Shouldn't she give everyone a share of the chicken she caught?" Gao Miaomiao sneered. Seeing the benefits and wanting to take advantage of them, these people really think it's beautiful. She hid the chicken behind her and smiled as she looked at the person who wanted to grab something. "Aunties and uncles, what are you doing? The chicken I caught is meant to be taken back to help the children's health. As you know, the children are not in good health and will not grow tall in the future and may fall ill." She looked at the crowd with a smile on her face and said, "Uncle and aunt don't want to grab food from the children, do they?" The faces of both the elderly and the elderly were very ugly. If Gao Miaomiao doesn't want to share the chicken with everyone, they can still blame him. But Gao Miaomiao moved out all the children. How could someone at such an old age feel embarrassed to grab food from the children? What kind of health do children supplement? Whose children didn't grow up through hard work? Do you really care about the Cheng family's dragging oil bottle? Don't you wish they both died soon? Not grabbing the chicken, a woman with a sarcastic face spoke sharply. Gao Miaomiao originally had a slight smile on her face, but upon hearing these words, her expression completely darkened. "I'm afraid this aunt hasn't woken up yet. What nonsense are you talking about here? Your children are willing to endure hardship, that's your business, I can't control it. My tall and young child just wants to eat sweet food. I don't care if this child is my own, I will treat them equally well. If you don't believe me, you can always look at me and see how I treat the children well. As for this chicken, don't think about it." Gao Miaomiao snorted coldly and walked towards her home with the chicken in her hand. Only the shocked elders and women were left behind, and everyone was angry, but they couldn't openly curse Gao Miaomiao. After all, whoever finds things on the mountain belongs to them, and there has never been a precedent for anyone to share them with everyone before. When Gao Miaomiao arrived home, she realized that Feng had already returned. He looked at Gao Miaomiao holding a chicken in his hand and squinted. Gao Miaomiao smiled and handed the chicken to him. Here you go, pluck your hair, let's have chicken tonight. Feng brought the chicken over. Where did it come from? He still asked a question. Gao Miaomiao grinned and said, I caught it on the mountain for a long time. This thing is so clever that it almost brought me into the ditch. Feng looked up and down at Gao Miaomiao for a while, only to find that she was not injured before turning around and walking towards the back. Leave this kind of thing to me in the future, you don't have to do it. Gao Miaomiao smiled. Is this man caring about her? It's quite considerate. Upon hearing the commotion, Lu Guiying walked out of the room and saw the chicken in Feng's hand. A moment of joy flashed in her eyes as she said, where did this chicken come from? Gao Miaomiao narrowed her eyes with a smile and said, I was scratching the ground on the mountain and encountered a nest of chickens, but I only caught this one. Lu Guiying was surprised and said, you're lucky too, Feng. Take the chicken and pluck its feathers. Let's have some meat tonight. Feng took the chicken and headed towards the kitchen. Gao Miaomiao put down the basket, revealing the tattered items she had picked up. Han walked over timidly and asked her. Mom, what are you doing picking up these for? Gao Miaomiao touched her head and said, pick it up and see if it can still be used. Han paused for a moment and did not push her hand away. Cheng Nianyo was originally planning to pull away his younger sister, but when he saw Gao Miaomiao smiling at Han, he suddenly didn't want to do so. Feng plucked the chicken feathers and handed them over to Lu Guiying. He stood at the door, watching as Gao Miaomiao struggled to speak to Han, making Han laugh. His gaze gradually softened. Cheng Nianyo also leaned over, and the two of them listened as Gao Miaomiao said that Sun Wukong had beaten by Gu Jing 3 times. The two children were completely engrossed, their eyes lit up, and surprisingly, in just a few minutes, they forgave and accepted Gao Miaomiao. Mom, can you tell me this story tomorrow? Han didn't listen enough, he still wants to listen tomorrow. Gao Miaomiao nodded and readily agreed, okay, as long as you want to listen, I'll tell you tomorrow. Lu Guiying walked out of the kitchen and wiped her apron with her hand. I cooked half of the chicken and marinated the rest, she said. Everyone was called over for a meal, and the two children obediently sat at the table. Lu Guiying walked back into the kitchen and paused for a moment while picking up the dishes. There are only 5 people at home, and all the bowls are numbered, but now 2 are missing. Han, where did you take the bowl? Cheng Hanin heard him raise his head and said, it was my mother who took it. Gao Miaomiao didn't expect that there were even bowls at home, so she awkwardly touched her nose and said, I saw that bowl had a notch and thought it couldn't be used. I threw it away. Lu Guiying was muttering in her heart, thinking about her credit for bringing back a chicken, without considering it. She put the chicken on the plate and said, go eat it. The two children happily carried plates and walked out. Gao Miaomiao took a sip and couldn't help but admire Lu Guiying's craftsmanship. After the family finished their meal, Lu Guiying returned to the room with her 2 children, and Gao Miaomiao suddenly felt unwell. She walked slowly into the room with an unnatural expression. Feng is already in the room. The original owner caused a lot of trouble, and they have been married for several days without getting married. I'm afraid they won't be able to escape tonight. Feng saw her awkward expression and knew what she was thinking. What are you still dawdling on? He asked Gao Miaomiao. Gao Miaomiao could only walk over. Well, Feng, can we? She wanted to tell Feng if she could leave the roundhouse for now, but that was a bit difficult to say. Feng looked at her quietly. She blushed for some reason. Can we not? Don't worry, as long as you don't want to, I won't touch you. Feng finally interrupted her, and Gao Miaomiao suddenly looked over and said, are you serious? Feng spread the cool mat on the bed on the ground and nodded, I'll make a bunk, you can sleep. As he spoke, he lay down and soon came the sound of steady breathing. He fell asleep. Gao Miaomiao smiled. Isn't this man pretty good? The original owner is so ignorant that she doesn't even want to jump into the river with her, it's really a waste. Chapter 4. Realizing Pig Farming. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. The next day, when Gao Miaomiao woke up, it was already 7 o'clock, and Feng and Lu Guiying were ready to go to work. Just keep an eye on your child at home. It's hot at this time, so don't expose yourself to the sun. Lu Guiying didn't say much, picked up something and left. Gao Miaomiao was stunned for a moment, and a warm current rose in her heart. If you don't earn a job, you'll starve to death. In this era, a woman who has just given birth has to go to work before giving birth. She's not sick or in pain, and can still stay at home. It's just a fairy-like day. She called the 2 children up, changed their clothes, washed their faces and hands, and then took the leftover chicken soup from last night. Han Han, Nian Nian, come and eat. She had just brought out the soup when someone followed the taste. Look at how you've been getting better and better these days. I can smell the smell of meat from afar. Gao Miaomiao looked over and saw a woman wearing a coarse cloth shirt probe into the yard. This person is Sun Lianhua, the sister.In.Law of the original owner's family. She gave birth to a son and doesn't work on weekdays. Whenever there is something good in the Gao family, Sun Lianhua will quietly pass it on to her own family. Coincidentally, Sun Lianhua's mother's family also lives in this village, and it goes without saying that she received a letter from her mother's family to bring the autumn breeze. Gao Miaomiao chuckled lightly and said, the child is still young and needs to eat some good long body food. I'm not willing to take a bite. The implication is that she shouldn't have any ulterior motives. Sun Lianhua pursed her lips and said, those who didn't know thought you were the biological mother of these 2 children. Aren't you just 2 dragging oil bottles? They may not recognize you. She actually said such unpleasant things in front of the 2 children. Han Han and Cheng Nianyo standing next to her couldn't lift their heads when she said it. Gao Miaomiao lowered her face and held the 2 children in her arms. Han Han and Cheng Nianyo looked surprised, not expecting Gao Miaomiao to protect them. Sister-in-law, you can eat things indiscriminately, but you can't talk nonsense. When I got married, I was Han Han and Nian Nian's biological mother. If you say these unpleasant things, it's just stirring up our family's relationship. Are you trying to make things difficult for our family? Gao Miaomiao rudely retorted back. Sun Lianhua didn't expect her to dare to resist. She looked at her in surprise and was extremely angry. Alright, you can eat and drink well here, so don't worry about your mother's life or death. Sun Lianhua walked over directly. My mother's health hasn't been good these days, so why don't you go back and take a look? Since that's the case, let's take some chicken back to repair her body. Gao Miaomiao looked at her coldly. The chicken has already been eaten, sister.In.Law, let's go back. Don't worry about such parents, and besides, this is just a pretext from Sun Lianhua. I thought Sun Lianhua would leave, but I didn't expect her to squeeze into the kitchen and walk out with half of the pickled chicken in hand. Her expression was a bit smug. You said it's finished, what's this not chicken? Sun Lianhua is about to leave with the chicken in her hand. Gao Miaomiao stood in front of her and looked at her coldly, do you dare to take it and give it a try? Sun Lianhua had never seen her so tough before and was somewhat intimidated, saying, I took it away. It's only natural for me to be filial. How could you turn such a good thing towards outsiders? I married into the Cheng family. If you dare to take this chicken, don't blame me for calling the village branch secretary and showing everyone what kind of face you have. Her words startled Sun Lianhua and made her look ugly. Everyone knew it would definitely be embarrassing. Gao Miaomiao is about to go out and shout for the village branch secretary. Sun Lianhua immediately threw down the chicken and said, I'll go back and tell my mom how she'll deal with you. Gao Miaomiao snorted coldly and said, Sun Lianhua, it's best for you to put aside those inconspicuous thoughts. Also, if you dare to speak recklessly in front of my child, don't blame me for being impolite to you. Sun Lianhua angrily left. Han Han and Cheng Nienyo were moved when they saw her so forcefully protecting them. Cheng Nienyo took the initiative to bring the chicken back to the kitchen, while Han Han walked up to Gao Miaomiao and carefully grabbed her hand, softly calling out, "Nyang." Gao Miaomiao's heart softened and she immediately took the two children to eat. Eat more and grow taller, no one dares to bully you. Okay. At night, Lu Guiying and Qing Feng returned. Gao Miaomiao took the initiative to reveal the story of Sun Lianhua. I didn't ask her to take the things, but I still think it's good to explain this to my mother. Lu Guiying paused with her chopsticks in her hand and said, if you're willing, you can take that half of the chicken to your mother's house, which is also filial piety. Looking back on the days when the original owner was at her mother's house, Gao Miaomiao instinctively refused, no need. It's not a year or a festival, and the two children still need to be healed. I can't just plan for my parents' family when I get married. Let's keep that half of the chicken ourselves. She knew in her heart that her mother's family was not really good to her. When the original owner couldn't eat enough, only her grandmother would feel a little sorry for her. Moreover, the old lady now has an uncle who is filial and lives a good life, so she doesn't have to worry about it. Lu Guiying picked up her rice and couldn't stop her smiling face. She exchanged a glance with Qing Feng, feeling a lot of warmth in her heart. It seems that this girl is really planning for her own family. All villagers have a meeting at the valley farm and gather as soon as possible. The next morning, before Gao Miaomiao could wake up, he heard the sound of a broadcast. She quickly washed her face and tidied it up. When she went out, she saw Lu Guiying waiting at the door and said, "You have nothing to do at home. Follow and take a look." Gao Miaomiao had this intention in mind. When he arrived with his two children, the valley field was already filled with people, forming a circle. The village chief stood in the middle, holding a loudspeaker in his hand. The public has allocated 10 piglets to our village. This meeting is to ask everyone if anyone wants to raise them. Gao Miaomiao's eyes lit up. She is worried about not being able to take out food reasonably, isn't this just what she wants? The village chief continued speaking with a loudspeaker, as long as we can raise the piglets to 200 pounds, all the extra meat that comes out when dividing the pork will belong to us personally. Before the commotion could begin, the village chief added, but if we raise the piglets to death, not only will we not receive any meat, but we will also deduct 1 month's salary as compensation for the villagers. There was an uproar below. Who can raise them under these conditions? Last year, the team raised pigs together, and with all their efforts, they only raised more than 100 pounds, 200 pounds. Do we still need to build some ourselves? Gao Miaomiao felt a bit tempted, but as she watched the reactions of others, she also felt that the conditions were indeed a bit harsh and temporarily suppressed them. There was no response from anyone below for a long time, and the village chief felt a bit embarrassed. He just led his head and said, "I'll take the lead first, I'll take care of 2 heads at home." The production team leader also touched his nose and said, "My family also raises 2 heads, so we don't believe in raising them and can't make a name for themselves." The village's renowned aunt stood up and said, "My house also needs 2 ends." The village chief blushed with excitement when he saw someone responding and said, "Okay. Our village needs people who actively respond to the call." Chapter 5. What kind of person are you? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. But after Auntie raised her hand, the servants looked at each other and no one was willing to take over the remaining 4 piglets. The village chief was smoking a dry cigarette and said, "In this way, let's not mention canceling a month's salary. If we raise the piglets and don't get any pork, we'll just let it go." Even if the conditions are relaxed, no one is willing to speak up. Everyone works in the fields all year round, so they don't have any extra energy. If they work for nothing for a year, they won't be able to get any pork in the end, and their hearts won't be much uncomfortable. Seeing the bottom, no one spoke, and Gao Miaomiao took a step forward. We'll take all the remaining piglets from our family. You. Everyone looked at Gao Miaomiao and didn't believe she could raise pigs well. Can you raise pigs? People who can't even earn a job, what do you want to raise pigs for? That's right, what if she raises the piglet she finally got to death? Lu Guiying quickly reached out and pulled up the sleeves of the seedlings, whispering, you may not be able to keep so many piglets alive. Gao Miaomiao patted Lu Guiying's hand calmly and said, Mom, don't worry, I have a way. Cheng Feng also nodded and said, Mother, if she wants to raise her, let her raise her. He actually supports himself. Gao Miaomiao smiled at him. Seeing someone willing to speak up, the village chief couldn't even close his mouth and said, the wife of the Cheng family has a good heart. After all, women can hold up half of the sky, but aren't there too many of these 4 piglets? Why don't we raise 2 first? Cheng Feng looked at the tall seedlings and spoke loudly, we need 4 heads at home. The great man once said, make up your mind, be not afraid of sacrifice, overcome all difficulties, and strive for victory. I believe we should also have this spirit. Gao Miaomiao followed suit, reciting her quotes very smoothly. I can't even work at home with my children. It's my honor to contribute to the whole family and the commune. Well said, these are 4 pigs, not a chicken. A sarcastic voice erupted from the crowd, and someone walked out, disdainfully looking at Gao Miaomiao. Gao Miaomiao, these are the pigs from the brigade. It's okay to say that you killed 1 pig. If you killed 4 pigs, what more meat will everyone get? The person who spoke up was Li Xiaohong, who was Cheng Feng's original fiancé A.E. However, Cheng Feng retired and injured his leg when he returned home. Their family couldn't wait to step down, fearing that one day later, Li Xiaohong would be dragged down by Cheng Feng. Otherwise, Gao Miaomiao would not have become the wife of the Cheng family. What do you want to do? Gao Miaomiao was 1 head taller than Li Xiaohong, and when she looked down at Li Xiaohong, she carried a crushing aura. Li Xiaohong felt uncomfortable when she saw her. She always felt that Gao Miaomiao had taken advantage of her and benefited from her. Otherwise, she would be the one lying at home every day enjoying herself. Cheng Feng was originally her fiancé A. It's just that I didn't figure it out for a moment and ended my marriage. If you want to raise a pig, you must guarantee to everyone that if there is any problem with the pig, you will have to compensate everyone according to the standard of 200 pounds per pig. Li Xiaohong spoke proudly. She doesn't believe it, she dares to raise pigs even under such high conditions. Others were also filled with grief upon hearing this condition. 200 pounds. 4 pigs make 800 pounds. Who else dares to raise pigs under these conditions? Is Li Xiaohong crazy? However, what Li Xiaohong said is also true. If pigs are really raised to death by high seedlings, then we will lose 800 kilograms of pork. That's meat, not cabbage. Everyone knows how well pork is marketed this year. So, even if you know that this condition is harsh, everyone still nodded and said, yes, if you want to raise pigs, you must give everyone a guarantee. Even the village chief frowned as he looked at Gao Miaomiao. Cheng's daughter.In.Law, there are still quite a few pigs, why don't you just keep 1? No, Gao Miaomiao smiled at Li Xiaohong and promised in front of everyone, I can guarantee in front of everyone that I can raise these 4 pigs well. If there is any problem with these pigs, I will take full responsibility on my own. She actually agreed. Li Xiaohong looked at Gao Miaomiao incredulously, and everyone was shocked. But the village chief, you also have to agree to 1 condition. Gao Miaomiao looked at the village branch secretary. The village chief nodded and said, first, tell me what it is. When killing pigs, I hand over 800 kilograms of meat to the village, and the excess meat is all given to my house, okay? The village chief hesitated for a moment before nodding and agreeing, I can make the decision to agree to this condition. It happens that everyone is present, so we can witness it together. Since Cheng's daughter.In.Law is so determined, let's give her a chance. With 4 pigs, as long as she hands in 800 kilograms of pork, all the excess meat will be given to the Cheng family. Do you have any objections? The village chief looked at all the villagers. Who would have any objections to such good conditions? Agree, we all agree. I also agree. We have no objections. All the people in the village agree to raise pigs with high seedlings, and they also agree to share the excess weight of over 800 pounds with the Cheng family, so everyone should not take it at all. The scene was extremely lively, making Li Xiaohong angry. I just wanted to make Gao Miaomiao look ugly. Who knew she had so much courage to admit to raising pigs in front of everyone and even agreed to such harsh conditions? Now, even the village chief praises the courage of the seedlings. Moreover, the Cheng family surprisingly did not object. Cheng Feng stood behind Gao Miaomiao, careful not to be squeezed into her, gentle and considerate. If it weren't for Cheng Feng's limp, all of this would have been hers. Li Xiaohong looked angrily at Gao Miaomiao and said, then we'll wait for your good news. Let's wait and see. Gao Miaomiao raised her lips and smiled, confident, as if her whole body was shining. Cheng Feng's gaze flickered. Gao Miaomiao has indeed changed, but he prefers such a tall seedling. We'll go to work later, you take the children home. He patted Gao Miaomiao's shoulder and gave 2 soft commands. Gao Miaomiao nodded and said, okay. The announcement of the meeting is almost complete. The village chief said that when the piglets arrive, they will notify everyone to come and collect them. Then, those who should go to work, and those who should go home should go home. When Gao Miaomiao returned home, the first thing she did was call out the system and exchange some feed with the things she picked up that day. After finishing these, she fell into contemplation and said, what else is needed for pig farming besides feed? The sound of the system sounded perfectly. The system provides mall services, and the host can open the system panel to select from the mall. Upon hearing this, Gao Miaomiao immediately became interested. Following the system prompts, she opened the mall and saw neatly arranged goods, including essential items such as oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, and even bicycles. Chapter 6. Mother is too powerful. You are listening at novel full.audio. She continued flipping down, about 3 or 4 pages later, and a somewhat quaint-looking note caught her eye. On the cover of the craft paper, there are a few small characters and a letter for pig farming. She was a bit excited and directly replaced the book with something. In addition, Gao Miaomiao also discovered that the mall had a search function. She tried it and was able to find some precautions about pig farming. As long as she learns these techniques, she doesn't have to worry about raising dead pigs at all. These things are studied until it gets dark. Lu Guiying had already finished work and returned home. She walked in with a worried expression on her face and didn't speak when she saw Gao Miaomiao. Gao Miaomiao smiled and comforted her, Mom, you can rest assured. My grandfather is a good pig farmer, and I have learned a lot from him. As long as I take good care of these piglets, I will definitely be able to raise them well. Lu Guiying frowned and said, put it lightly, if all 4 piglets die, what should we compensate for? Cheng Feng also walked in at this moment, glanced at the 2 of them, and spoke calmly, the production team has been registered. It's too late to regret now. Let her let go and do it. What else can Lu Guiying do? She can only agree. After eating, Gao Miaomiao took the child to rest. Cheng Feng walked out with a machete in his hand. Lu Guiying asked him, what are you going to do? Find something to come back and build a pigsty. Lu Guiying walked out together. I'll go with you. Gao Miaomiao was completely unaware of this, and the next day when she woke up and saw the pigsty in the corner of the yard, her heart warmed. She said she was raising pigs, so the Cheng family fenced her up in a pigsty and didn't let herself do anything about it. Where can I find such a good family? The pigsty is already available, but the piglets have not been distributed yet. Gao Miaomiao didn't want to be idle at home, carrying a basket with her 2 children up the mountain. Let's go pick up some hay and lay it in the pigsty to make it look cleaner. The 2 children were eager to go out and play, so they followed Gao Miaomiao. After Sun Lianhua and Li Xiaohong got into trouble, these 2 children have now taken off their guard against tall seedlings, and she says whatever she says. The 3 of them went up the mountain, and hay was not uncommon. It wasn't long before they found a pile. Gao Miaomiao continued walking forward when she suddenly heard the sound of water. She looked forward and found a pool ahead. There are many fish swimming in the pond, although they are not big, their numbers are considerable. Gao Miaomiao glanced at her with some regret in her heart. Although there are many fish, she didn't bring any tools, so she might not be able to catch any with her bare hands. But she can exchange it. Gao Miaomiao squatted down and looked at Han Han and Cheng Nianyo. Mom is catching fish here. Can you go and watch if anyone comes over next to me, okay? The 2 people entrusted with important tasks obediently walked away for more than 10 meters and stood there watching the wind. Gao Miaomiao took out a small wooden handle from her basket and woke up the system. System, use this piece of wood for 2 fish. The system quickly estimated the value of wood. Gao Miaomiao heard a ding sound, and there were 2 lively fish on the ground. She quickly picked up the fish and shouted loudly, Han Han, Nian Nian, it's time to go down the mountain. The 2 children rushed over and were so surprised that they couldn't close their mouths. Did your mother catch this? Your mother is too powerful. With a mysterious smile, Gao Miaomiao put the fish into the basket and covered it with hay. Let's hide the fish and go down the mountain, you 2 must not slip your tongue, she said. Okay, the 2 children all said they wouldn't know. Because of a lesson learned from the past, Gao Miaomiao didn't turn around anymore. He carried a basket back home and put the fish in the kitchen, which finally gave him a sigh of relief. You keep an eye on the fish. Mom, go out and wait until it gets dark before your dad comes back to open the door. Do you know? The 2 children obediently agreed, and Gao Miaomiao turned around and went to the house of the village chief. She told the village chief about the fish in the pond. The village chief sat up directly upon hearing this and said, Are there really fish in the pond on the mountain? Gao Miaomiao nodded and said, The pond is located in the forest halfway up the mountain. I only caught 2 and couldn't catch any more. The village chief patted the table and walked straight out. If that's true, you're the great hero of our village. Besides the 2 fish you caught, I have to give you extra points. So, you go back and wait for the letter first, and I'll go find the captain to take people up the mountain to catch fish. Okay. Gao Miaomiao achieved her goal and returned to her own home. As soon as she entered the door, she smelled a fragrance. Coincidentally, Lu Guiying walked out with fish soup in her hand. When she saw her return, she smiled happily and said, I've heard the children say, I'll just boil the soup with this fish. Come and eat it now. Gao Miaomiao sat down somewhat embarrassed, and Lu Guiying scooped up a piece of fish and put it in her bowl. I didn't see it before, but you're our lucky star. Most people can't even touch such good things. Feng was eating meat and looked at the woman sitting next to him, his eyes slightly moved. Halfway through the meal, someone knocked on the door of the Cheng family, and Lu Guiying went over and opened it. The village chief was holding a bucket in his hand, and behind him stood a strong man who said, Gao Miaomiao, you have made great contributions this time. The fish we caught, apart from 1 for each family, there are still 2 left. As he spoke, he cleared out a basin and grabbed 2 fish from the bucket, throwing them in. These 2 fish belong to your Cheng family, you deserve them. Before Gao Miaomiao could reach out to pick it up, she heard someone suddenly speaking in the crowd. Their family has eaten all of this, why can they still divide it into 2 more pieces? The village chief glared and turned to look at the people. Don't be discouraged. Although the back mountain belongs to the public, which time did you not bring back the rabbits and wild chickens you fought? If Comrade Gao hadn't been willing to reveal the location of the pond today, even if she had caught all the fish by herself, who could have said a word? Lu Guiying picked up the fish and ignored the jealous people. The village chief reached out and pointed to Gao Miaomiao. She has made such a great contribution to the commune. We need to commend her well. Why are you talking about others? Now everyone dare not complain anymore. Everyone was busy going home, so they didn't stay much longer. Seeing off the village branch secretary, Gao Miaomiao looked at the two lively fish with some joy. She thought in her heart that if she bought some young fish from the mall, she would say that they were born by these two fish. Then the family would be able to eat meat in a dignified way. The next morning, the production team leader sent piglets to the adopted families. At the entrance of Cheng's house, he shouted loudly and opened the door. I have brought your piglets, you must take good care of them. The production team leader pushed 2 cages into the yard. Gao Miaomiao took the basket and opened it to take a look. The little piglets inside were thin and small, and they didn't look very energetic. But look at the piglets in other cages, they are all quite sturdy, and their mental state is also good. She frowned. Isn't this intentional bullying? Lu Guiying also walked out and reached out to pick up a little piglet. She was even more dissatisfied and said, why is there still a mother piglet here? Chapter 7. No way to pit her. You are listening at novel full.audio. It is well known that boars tend to gain weight easily, while sows lose a lot of meat after giving birth to their offspring. They don't even weigh the weight, and it's useless except for giving birth. Taking care of them is also a troublesome task. The production team leader naturally understood and smiled, these were all a sign from above. I can't speak at all, and besides, I'm just here to deliver pigs. If you have any problems, you can go find the village chief. He put down the piglet and left. Lu Guiying held her breath in her heart and looked at the few piglets, patting her thighs. No way, I don't want to bully people like this. I have to go and ask for an explanation. Gao Miaomiao knew that she was straightforward, so she probably went to find the village branch secretary to argue and quickly followed behind. This matter really can't just be settled like that. Lu Guiying stormed into the threshold with great momentum, but before she could speak, the village chief knocked on the cigarette stick and said, what's wrong with this? Secretary, I see that the piglets given to others are quite exciting. Why is it our turn to have 4 sick piglets given to us? How can we raise them? If you don't believe me, secretary, I'll bring those piglets over now. Lu Guiying is truly known for her fierceness, and her last few words were very threatening. The village chief's face looked a bit unpleasant. I also want to take care of you more, but those brats have been claimed by the family for a long time, and there are only 4 left. Even if you don't want to, you have no choice. I think you are bullying our orphaned and widowed mother. Lu Guiying didn't listen to this trick and was about to speak up again when Gao Miaomiao quickly grabbed her. Mom, I have a way to ensure that our family won't suffer losses. Having gone through the previous events, Lu Guiying was very satisfied with her daughter.In.Law and took a few steps back upon hearing this. Gao Miaomiao smiled and said with a kind attitude, Secretary, the task of raising 4 piglets is already very challenging, not to mention that these piglets are all sick. It's not appropriate to give them all to our house, is it? The village chief was initially impatient and sighed after hearing these words, the piglets have already been divided, and I won't let your family and others exchange them again. It's really not possible. When dividing the pork, I will make the decision to give your family an extra 10 pounds. Gao Miaomiao waved his hand in order to make him compromise and achieve his goal, saying, pork belongs to everyone, we cannot break the rules. Among the piglets given to my family, there is a sow, if it can be raised, I want the piglets born from the sow. She came up with an idea she had planned early on, and when the village chief saw her proposing such a condition, he immediately waved his hand. As long as it's not for exchanging piglets, the sow you raise belongs to your Cheng family as long as it gives birth. Lu Guiying reached out and tugged at her. Let's still order something practical. If this sow doesn't come out, won't it all go blind in vain? Gao Miaomiao had enough confidence. Mother, you believe me. With the system in hand, she doesn't believe she can't keep these piglets well. Lu Guiying looked at her confident expression and opened her mouth, but did not say anything to refute. Okay, I'll listen to you. She can only listen to tall seedlings. The village chief also laughed and said, if you have nothing to do, go back early. Are the piglets at home still waiting for injections? Yes, then we'll go back first. Gao Miaomiao pulled Lu Guiying back home. I begged for benefits from the village chief, and Gao Miaomiao felt happy. She spent the whole morning going up the mountain to cut pigsty, and at noon she was carrying a basket and preparing to go home. When passing by the edge of the field, Gao Miaomiao clearly felt several lines of sight falling on him. She didn't want to pay attention to these people and quickened her pace. Cheng's wife, with so many piglets in your family, can you really raise them? Someone started to coax. I've heard about it. She begged the village chief to agree that the pigs raised by the Cheng family didn't have to give birth to piglets to the public family. How could anyone have dared to covet public goods before? What do you think about the village chief letting her take such a big advantage in vain? The tone of those women was sharp and harsh, and the people next to them also had a look of righteous indignation, as if she had taken a great advantage. How could this matter spread so quickly? Do they think they have taken advantage of it? Gao Miaomiao paused in her footsteps. The voices of discussion were incessant, and Gao Miaomiao felt amused in her heart. She turned to face the broken-mouthed women. Do you think my family has taken advantage of me? Has anyone ever thought about how much more effort it takes to take care of a sow than a boar? It is an undeniable fact that sows have to constantly worry about everything from feed to breeding, and even if they put in a lot of effort, their pork production cannot match that of boars. The old woman, however, showed a somewhat reluctant attitude and said, that's all from the public family. Why should the piglets born of you be cheaper? Gao Miaomiao spoke calmly and said, a boar grows and scales quickly. As we all know, sows are much more troublesome compared to sows, and it takes a lot of effort to raise them. Besides, my few piglets are all born thin and weak, and it's not certain whether they can be raised well or not. Gao Miaomiao looked around and saw that some of those people also raised piglets. She immediately laughed and said, if anyone really thinks I've taken advantage and wants to exchange it with a boar, I'm also willing to let that sow go. Does anyone want to exchange it? Several families who raised piglets all turned their gaze away, but none of them were willing. They are not fools, they don't want to keep the good piglets and insist on bringing trouble over. Gao Miaomiao raised her eyebrows and raised her voice. Since no one is willing to trade with me today, no matter how many piglets my pig has given birth to in the future, it's best for you not to be jealous and cause trouble again. If you want to eat this bowl of rice, you have to be able to hold it up. The women looked at each other in confusion. I want to say something more, but they don't even want to change their pig farm, and the village branch secretary has agreed to this condition. They can't think of any reason to continue targeting high seedlings. I can only stare at tall seedlings. When this matter started to stir up, the village branch secretary heard about it, and now he happened to come over and hear this sentence. What's going on during work hours? Gao Miaomiao remained calm at all. This matter was decided by the village branch secretary, so he naturally couldn't slap himself in the face. The village chief, holding a hoe in his hand, knocked on the ground and said, if anyone doesn't believe it, go to the Cheng family and see if the piglets are thinner and weaker than usual. If anyone thinks they have the ability to feed these 4 piglets, just go and replace them. As soon as the village chief spoke, the people looked resentful and dared not say anything more. The woman who was shouting the most fiercely also shut her mouth. The village chief waved his hand and said, if you don't go to work yet, you're all making things difficult for the Cheng family's wife. What does it look like to talk about it? The group of people reluctantly dispersed, and the village chief followed closely. Gao Miaomiao was preparing to go home with a basket on her back, and when she turned around, she saw Feng standing not far away. He squinted at himself, his eyes deep and distant. How long did he watch it? Chapter 8. She surprisingly recognized words. You are listening at novel full.audio. Gao Miaomiao inexplicably felt a slight blush. Did he see the way he was going crazy? Feng walked over and didn't mention what happened earlier. He took the basket from Gao Miaomiao's hand and said, let's go home. Gao Miaomiao threw away the thoughts in her mind and walked home with him, only to see Feng holding several thick books in his hand. What is this? Feng walked over and placed the books on the table in front of her, speaking calmly, you might be able to use these books, so I'll buy them back. Pig Farming Strategy, Farm Pig Farming Notes. Gao Miaomiao picked it up and saw the words on it, feeling a bit moved. In recent years, with severe crackdowns, how did he get so many books on pig farming? On weekdays, it looks quite dull, but my mind is very meticulous. Surprisingly, she still wants to buy books and come back to help her raise pigs. Gao Miaomiao squinted her eyes and laughed. You watch first and ask me if there's anything you don't understand. Feng took a sip of water and turned around to see that Gao Miaomiao had already opened a book and started reading. He was stunned for a moment and raised his eyebrows. The Gao family has always treated Gao Miaomiao harshly, and it is impossible for her to pay for her to read. Surprisingly, she can understand the characters in books. His gaze flickered and he walked towards the tall seedlings. Are these books helpful for you in raising pigs? Gao Miaomiao nodded and said, the things written on it are quite comprehensive and very useful. If these books are usually considered precious, they are just a bit inferior to her pig farming notes. But this is Feng's heart, we cannot let it down. Gao Miaomiao looked at Feng with a smile and said, could you please take the time to find these books? Thank you. The food has been good these days, and she has grown some flesh on her face. She looks white and pure, and she smiles brightly with her eyes wide open. Feng's thoughts were suddenly forgotten, and he sat beside her. Do you understand? I understand. The book states that pig farming requires a combination of feed. Gao Miaomiao pointed carefully at the line on the book, frowning slightly. Especially when piglets are young, using feed to balance their nutrition can make them fat and strong. She spoke eloquently and didn't even notice the expressions of the people behind her. Feng looked down at her. She can indeed understand these books without any pressure. She is completely different from before. Confident and emitting light all over. It's a world of difference from the way I had to live and die when I first arrived at the Cheng family. What exactly made her change? Gao Miaomiao didn't hear him reply, so she put down her book and turned around. Suddenly, she noticed that the distance between the two was very close, so close that she could smell the smell of grass on him. Feng averted his gaze and reached out to turn the book back a page, saying, what's wrong? Gao Miaomiao blushed slightly and put down the book, saying, I'll go see the piglets. She fled in despair, and Feng didn't ask any further questions. He silently put away the books on the table. After noon, the two children were clamoring to go out, and Gao Miaomiao was also preparing to go and gather some pig grass. He took the two children up the mountain. The two children were obedient and ran to help cut pigsty. Mom, I found a lot of fruits on the mountain, they are so delicious. Nian rushed over, holding a small handful of berries in her hand, eagerly handing them to her. Gao Miaomiao took one and tasted it, and the taste was indeed quite good. She wiped her sweat, afraid that the little one might get lost, and stopped the two of them. Han, come and rest for a while. The two of them ran wild in the mountains, covered in soil and leaves, and presented what they found to Gao Miaomiao as if offering a treasure. A pile of unknown fruits, a small basket of pigweed, and a small earthworm. Gao Miaomiao couldn't help but laugh and cry. These two children are really fun. System, I want to exchange the red rope in the basket for some dried fish. The mechanical sound of the system sounded perfectly. Year value detected, redeeming in progress. Please be patient and wait for the host. In the next moment, a pile of dried fish appeared in the basket beside Gao Miaomiao, emitting an enticing fragrance. She stuffed all the dried fish in her basket into the two children and led them under the tree, saying, "It's hot now. Don't run around, sit in the shade of the tree and eat something." The two children looked at the fish fry and asked curiously, "Mom, what is this?" "This is delicious, give it a try." Han Han opened it and took a bite, squinting his eyes in surprise. "Delicious. So you guys sit here and eat, I'll go cut the pigsty, don't run around, okay?" The two children obediently went to the shade of the tree. Gao Miaomiao carried a basket to the nearby haystack. When she went up the mountain, she brought along the previous rags. Raising pigs requires feed. With the current situation of the Cheng family, where can they afford to buy pig feed? So, she can only use the system to exchange. Exchange this vase for pig feed. She took out a vase with a missing mouth from her basket. The sound calculated by the system rings. A vase with a missing corner, 30 points of vintage, worth 300 yuan, I didn't expect a broken vase to be worth so much money. Gao Miaomiao looked at the open space in front of her, and in the next moment, a snake-skin plastic bag appeared on the open space. She approached and saw that there was no writing on it, but inside it was actually filled with feed and the packaging was worn out. Even if she carried it directly back, no one would suspect that she had taken something good. So much feed is enough to last for a while. Unfortunately, the system cannot store points and can only redeem them all at once. She changed things on the mountain and had to carry them home. The road to revolutionary victory is obstructed and far away. Gao Miaomiao put the feed into her back pocket and even cut some pig grass to cover it before calling the two children over. Han Han, Nian Nian, I'm ready to go home. The two children were even more active than her, carrying their own small baskets and running down. My sister and I cut a lot of pig grass today. We definitely can't starve our piglets. Han Han and Nian Nian are great. Gao Miaomiao boasted. Han Han ran out a long way, finally stopping in his tracks, and turned around to praise Gao Miaomiao. Mom, you're also great. Gao Miaomiao was stunned for a moment. Is she being praised? It's been many years since she was praised like this, and she feels a bit embarrassed. The sun slants westward, and the afterglow falls on the ground, creating a golden halo. The three of them quickly arrived home. The family members have not returned from work yet, so Gao Miaomiao directly takes out the feed and mixes it with pig food. I'll go pour the pigsty in. Nian Nian ran to the side of the pigsty, but as soon as he ran over, he pouted and started crying. Mom, there's a little pig that's not moving. Is it going to die? Gao Miaomiao secretly thought that she was not good, so she quickly got up to take a look. Can't it be a pig that has an accident? She walked to the pigsty. The three piglets in the pigsty curiously arched the ground with their noses, looking spirited. But the thinnest one lay limp on the ground, not only motionless, but also convulsing and twitching all over. These few piglets are the hope of the family, and nothing can happen. Chapter 9. Pig Raising Letters. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Gao Miaomiao reached out and picked up the piglets, placing them separately in a cool place. Han Han also realized something. Mother, is Piggy sick? Gao Miaomiao nodded and touched the piglet's neck, feeling its pulse still beating. She breathed a sigh of relief. If you are still alive, it will be saved. She turned around and took out the pig-raising handbook from the room, quickly flipping through it. The things written inside are very comprehensive, definitely recording the symptoms of piglets. A few minutes later, Gao Miaomiao's gaze stopped on a page of paper. Swine piglet spasms and convulsions may be a symptom of heatstroke if it's a cool summer day. Gao Miaomiao carefully examined the symptoms of the piglets on the ground, which basically matched the description in the book. She continued to watch and said, "Move the piglet to a cool place, prepare cold water for irrigation and enema to cool down, and then treat it with mung bean water orally." The book is written in great detail, and Gao Miaomiao immediately took out something to exchange with the system. Exchange for a syringe and a bag of mung beans. Detected some old broken porcelain pieces, with a sense of age of 5 points and a value of 50 yuan. After the system evaluation, a small bag of mung beans and a syringe appeared in front of the tall seedlings. The two children were eagerly watching from the side, and Gao Miaomiao was too busy to come over. He instructed the two of them, "Scoop some cold water from the water tank and sprinkle it on the piglets." Nian Nian picked up the water ladle placed on the stool and ran quickly to do it. Gao Miaomiao dared not delay at all and turned to the kitchen, pouring water into the pot to cook mung bean soup. Even people can't drink such good things easily. She is a little distressed. The piglets outside were lying on the ground in the shade of the courtyard wall. When the tall seedlings passed by, the piglets were wet and watered a lot. She reached into the basin with her hand. The water was cool and should have a cooling effect. Without delay, she picked up the nearby syringe, filled it with water, and followed the instructions in the book. The symptom of heatstroke is extreme dehydration, and enema can help piglets replenish water as soon as possible. The two children squatted on the side and watched as Han Han suddenly spoke, "Mom, I think I heard piglets humming." Gao Miaomiao was overjoyed and reached out to pinch the piglet's leg, only to find that it was no longer soft, as if she had gained some strength. She turned around and went to the kitchen to take out the cooled mung bean soup and poured it into the piglet's bowl. The piglet regained some strength and crooned towards the direction of the feeding bowl. Gao Miaomiao pushed the feeding bowl towards the piglet and saw it slowly drinking mung bean soup, finally feeling relieved in her heart. It is written in the book that being able to eat independently indicates that the piglet has escaped danger, and then just be careful not to expose it to the sun. "Mom, have you cured the piglet?" The two children looked at her with admiration in their eyes. Gao Miaomiao smiled and picked up the well-fed piglets and put them into the pigpen. The piglet lay on the ground for a while, but surprisingly stood up unsteadily. "It's finally okay." Gao Miaomiao looked up and saw that the sky was getting dark. She put away the syringe and mung beans. "Just as I finished these things, suddenly there was a loud noise outside the door. 'Hi seedlings, open the door.'" The sound outside was a bit familiar, and Gao Miaomiao didn't have time to open the door. The open door was pushed open by someone. Li Xiaohong burst in with a group of people, followed by the village chief behind her. As soon as she entered the door, Li Xiaohong started shouting loudly. "Gao Miaomiao, what kind of pig do you raise? The production team gave you 4 piglets out of trust in you. You actually raised the piglets to death. You are infringing on collective property, and you are responsible." Li Xiaohong pointed at Gao Miaomiao's nose, her eyes smug. If the whole village knew about Gao Miaomiao raising her piglets to death, she would be stabbed in the spine when she goes out in the future, and see what face she has when going out. Gao Miaomiao was stunned for a moment and squinted her eyes. She had just dealt with the piglet's heatstroke, and Li Xiaohong knew about it, and she happened to bring someone over to accuse herself. Is there such a timely response? Shouldn't it be? Piggy heatstroke, is it related to her? What are you bringing people into my house for? Gao Miaomiao looked at Li Xiaohong with a sharp smile on her face. How do you know my piglet was raised to death? Li Xiaohong felt guilty and her eyes flickered. This time, the tall seedlings that had been staring at her were clearly visible. Gao Miaomiao also roughly knows what happened today. Li Xiaohong felt guilty for a second, then straightened her back and said, "Piggy is a collective property, and of course I also need to care about it. You've been feeding me to death now, so I have to give an explanation." "That's right, if the piglet dies, Cheng family will definitely have to compensate. The parents who followed and watched the excitement also criticized Gao Miaomiao one after another. Gao Miaomiao raised her eyebrows and asked, "When did you see a piglet die?" Li Xiaohong's face was a bit unsightly. She saw Gao Miaomiao go out in the morning, so she sneaked into the pigsty to take a look. The piglets in the pigsty were already thin and weak. She just picked up one of them for a while, and that piglet couldn't do it anymore. She deliberately waited until the little piglet couldn't move, and then went to find the village chief. She didn't believe that in such a short time, Gao Miaomiao could still come back to life. Li Xiaohong reached out and pointed to the pigsty behind her, saying, "If you're dead or not, just take a look and you'll know." "That's right, let's take a look. I've already said that high seedlings cannot feed piglets. Do evil deeds. A pig can be divided into a lot of meat." The village chief also walked up and said, "The villagers are very worried about the health of the piglets. Let's take a look, everyone can rest assured." They tried to break into someone else's house with such a tough attitude, but Gao Miaomiao didn't back down. "It's a bit inappropriate for so many people to break into my house without saying hello and still want to see my piglets, isn't it? You all say my piglet has a problem and want me to compensate. What if the piglet is okay?" Gao Miaomiao looked at everyone with a calm tone, a smile on her lips, and no hint of nervousness on her face. People who didn't know thought her piglet was really okay after reading it. Li Xiaohong sneered. "In such hot weather, your piglet is thin and small, and he will definitely suffer from heatstroke. You don't want everyone to go see it, you just want to shift the blame, right?" Gao Miaomiao almost burst out laughing. Is Li Xiaohong really not bringing her brain out? How could she be certain that her piglet had heatstroke? After putting out what she wanted to know, Gao Miaomiao nodded and said, "Okay, then you go and see." Li Xiaohong rushed over first, looked into the pigsty for a moment, and took a few steps back in disbelief. "You." The village branch secretary and the villagers also walked over and saw 4 piglets playing and frolicking in the pigpen, their faces immediately turning a bit ugly. "This little piglet is all fine, where is there any sign of heatstroke?" Everyone looked at Li Xiaohong. Li Xiaohong shook her head and said, "No, it's impossible. I clearly saw." "What did you see?" Gao Miaomiao walked over, pointing to the piglets in the pigsty and asked Li Xiaohong with a smile. "You saw my piglet suffering from heatstroke, and then went to notify everyone to blame me. Li Xiaohong, why are you staring at my piglet like this? Or is it that you caused my piglet to suffer from heatstroke?" Chapter 10. Misconception of Mind. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. She asked several questions in a row, and Li Xiaohong was asked back and forth. "No, it's not me. My piglet has never been released, and you haven't been to my house before. How did you know that my piglet had an accident?" Gao Miaomiao looked at Li Xiaohong with a sarcastic tone. "It's impossible to guess out of thin air, right?" Li Xiaohong couldn't even come up with a reasonable explanation. "Don't speak out loud, I also heard it from others." Gao Miaomiao nodded and said, "Is that right?" "Who told you?" "I can't say it. Why don't we call the whole village over and confront each other one by one, to see who's behind the scenes chewing their tongues?" Li Xiaohong originally made it up and quickly denied, No, I don't have time to accompany you around. This can also be considered reckless. So if you lead someone to wrongly accuse me, wouldn't I be ashamed and angry to death, and just jump into the river to commit suicide? Do you know this is murder?" Gao Miaomiao's tone was eerie. The people around her changed their faces when they heard her speak so heavily. "It's Li Xiaohong who told us that your piglet has a problem, it's all her fault." That's right, we never expected that she was intentionally trying to wrongly accuse you. This has nothing to do with us. If you have any questions, go find Li Xiaohong." All the villagers shifted the responsibility onto Li Xiaohong, who was completely speechless. She didn't expect why things would happen to this extent. No. I don't. She could only keep shaking her head and saying, why do you say it's me? Do you have any evidence? Gao Miaomiao really has no evidence, that's why she was so polite to Li Xiaohong. Otherwise, Li Xiaohong wouldn't have been standing safely in her yard. Did you do it? You have a clear idea, Li Xiaohong. If you dare to harm my family again, don't blame me for being impolite to you. At that time, I will reveal all the bad things you have done and see how you can harm others. Gao Miaomiao snorted coldly. Li Xiaohong trembled with anger when she heard that she dared to threaten herself. Nonsense, I'll tear your mouth apart. She rushed towards the tall seedlings with open teeth and claws. Gao Miaomiao took a step back, but before she could react, her wrist was grabbed and she was held in a warm embrace. It's Feng. He not only protected himself, but also intercepted the hand that Li Xiaohong was fanning towards him. A deep voice came from above. Don't be afraid. For no apparent reason, Gao Miaomiao felt a lot of peace in her heart. Li Xiaohong's hand was pinched and in severe pain, she grinned and retreated. Feng, however, had no hint of pity for her. He looked at her coldly and said, if you behave recklessly again, I will report you to the town. Being reported these days can lead to being locked up. Gao Miaomiao felt amused and hid behind Feng, watching her. Li Xiaohong originally had some connection with Feng, but now she couldn't help but cry when she was mentioned. You, how could you do this? She looked at Feng with a pitiful expression. Feng's eyes were even colder. You bullied Gao Miaomiao first. You. Li Xiaohong pointed at Feng and then looked at Gao Miaomiao, unable to speak at all. The people around her were pointing at her, making it impossible for her to stand. She could only run out with embarrassment and anger, covering her face. She is actually clever, and if she just ran away with this matter, she would have to let it go. Upon seeing this scene, the village chief had already understood what was going on. Mrs. Cheng, today's incident is that everyone has wronged you. I apologize on behalf of everyone. Gao Miaomiao understood the principle of accepting what was good and nodded politely. I know the villagers are all kind-hearted, but they are just being used. I won't take it to heart. The people present had different expressions, and the village chief slowly took a sip of dry smoke. In the future, the village should also be well renovated. Gao Miaomiao could tell that he was dissatisfied with Li Xiaohong and did not hold on to this matter anymore. Everyone dispersed, and Feng closed the door in the yard. After thinking for a moment, Gao Miaomiao still spoke up, thank you for protecting me. Feng looked back at her and said, have you been injured? Gao Miaomiao shook her head and heard him say, if Li Xiaohong comes to trouble you again in the future, don't confront her forcefully, come directly to me. A warm current surged through Gao Miaomiao's heart, and she curved her lips and agreed, okay. She was an orphan since childhood, and it was the first time she felt the feeling of being loved. When Lu Guiying returned from work at night and heard Feng talk about it, her face immediately darkened. Is she going to ride on top of my Cheng family and defecate? Gao Miaomiao knew she was impatient and didn't want to escalate the situation. The village chief already knew that she was the one who caused this, and she shouldn't make any small moves in the future. Lu Guiying glared at her and said, what do you know? If I don't teach her a lesson today, she will come and bully you again in the future. I really thought there was no one in my Cheng family to bully, right? If our pig cub really dies, who should we talk to for justice? That's a whole year's share of pork. The more Lu Guiying thought about it, the more her heart trembled. She stood up directly and reached out to grab Gao Miaomiao, saying, follow me, we need an explanation. Gao Miaomiao knew she couldn't stop her, so she had to follow along. With her present, you can still hold back a bit. The two of them entered the Li family, and Li Xiaohong's whole family was there. Lu Guiying walked over and spoke in a bad tone, your Li family is living a very comfortable life. After such a big incident, Li Xiaohong didn't dare to tell the adults. She thought she could get by, but her face changed when she saw Lu Guiying coming. Li's mother was not an easy character to deal with, so she directly retorted, "We're all off work now. If you have free time, why don't you go take care of the crops more? Don't play tricks on me, don't you know what your daughter did?" Lu Guiying put her hands on her hips and gestured, "Why don't you ask her how she harmed my pig?" Li's mother looked confused when she was told, realizing that this matter was not simple. She turned her head to look at Li Xiaohong and said, "What good thing did you do?" Li Xiaohong's face turned pale from fear, and she opened her mouth but couldn't speak. Seeing this situation, Gao Miaomiao immediately spoke up and described everything that happened today. "She broke into my house today with a group of people and said that I raised a pig to death, which almost caused me to be scolded to death by everyone. As a result, my pig had nothing to do. We just came over to ask what she really wanted to do." Li's mother's face changed and she didn't get used to Li Xiaohong. She reached out and grabbed her ear, saying, "Can you explain to me clearly what's going on?" Li Xiaohong bit her lower lip and said, I didn't do it." If she admits it, she might actually be sent to town and imprisoned. Lu Guiying stubbornly said, "What do you mean by bringing people over? I won't suffer this loss." Gao Miaomiao couldn't help but laugh. Li Xiaohong must come up with an explanation for this situation. If she doesn't admit to tampering with the piglets, she can only admit to fabricating and making things up. Anyway, her reputation won't be good. Seeing that she didn't admit it, Lu Guiying shouted again, "Old Li's, if you don't believe it, let's go to the village branch secretary's house now to ask, otherwise we'll apologize to my Miao Miao." Li Xiaohong dared not go. Under the pressure of several parties, she could only blush and reluctantly say, "I'm sorry." Lu Guiying just gave up and went home with Gao Miaomiao. "If you dare to bully my daughter.In.Law again in the future, I'll just tear your mouth open."